Hello, hi, how you doing? It's Jim. We're back for part 2 of Talk. The album from Yes came out in 1994. We listened to the first part yesterday. The Calling, I Am Waiting, and Real Love. We now move on to State of Play, Walls, and Where Will You Be? It has John Anderson singing on it, Trevor Rabin, Chris Squire, Tony Kaye, and Alan White. These are many of the same musicians that appeared on 90125, but not all of them. I got so many things wrong yesterday. I am so sorry. As I say, I really need a crib sheet for when I make these videos because my brain's all over the place. Ian Anderson, of course, is a singer in a very different band, and he plays a flute and he hops around on one foot. I don't know if John Anderson could do the same thing, but we'll see. Anyway, I have the old trusty remote control here. We're queued up, ready to go. There is nothing else to say, so let's do it. 3, 2, 1, pop. Oh! This is a very, very late 1980s sound on a mid-90s record. That drum sound.
See, we are the giving world. We are responsible. We're not about to break. It's just a state of play. It's just a state of play. Coming with the giving world. No need to wait for your appointment is made. No need to ask for help. It's in the love we breathe. Dancing in the new design. It's just a state of play. It's just a state of play.
Very, very interesting guitar sound. I really like this. I'm so sorry for... I mean, there's a lot of people who are not that keen on it. And I'm not going to say it's right up there as the best thing they've ever done. Obviously it's not. But it's... For what it is... completely relevant for when it came out. In a way. It was bucking the trend. I know what I appreciate what some of you have been saying in the comments. That it does. I mean, it sounds dated now, but I think it probably even sounded dated when it came out a little bit. It's as I was saying, it's a very 1980s sound for a mid-90s record. It doesn't bother me listening to it now, but I suspect maybe that's why the world gave a sort of collective shrug when it came out. So what?
Don't you know it's my way out to be on my own? When I feel like crying out, I do it best alone. Can you give me love and protection to shield my heart? All the fear I feel from doubt is tearing me apart. I wanna love, I wanna give, I wanna find another way to live. Another shout, another cry, and the walls come tumbling down. Don't you know
I was just making sure I was getting my facts right before I said it, but it has
your own?
a similar sound to things like
We scream and shout.
sort of Midnight Oil and Crowded House,
I can feel my anger
and In Excess, the drum sounds and some of the production, which is why I'm sort of placing it there towards the end of the 80s.
inside me. Do you feel the same? I wanna love, I wanna give, I wanna find another way to live. Another shout, another cry, as the walls come tumbling down. And I'm calling.
Oh, just wish Chris Squire's bass was further forward in the mix.
I wanna love, I wanna give, I wanna find another way to live. Another shout, another cry, and the walls come tumbling down. I wanna love,
I think I know it's what's sort of slightly bothering me about this. It's too shiny and happy.
shout, another cry, and the walls come tumbling down. I wanna love, I wanna give, I wanna find another way to live. Another shout, another cry, and the walls come tumbling down. This indecision kind of break me down. Let it run to the river, tell me. Oh, this indecision kind of break me down. Let me run to the river, let me.
Goes on a bit, doesn't it? Oh. It changes and they fade it out. Oh well. Right. What's up next? That was State of Play. We now have Walls. That felt like that went on for much longer than 5 minutes.
Where will you be when you're not here?
Oh no, we're on to track number 6 already.
Many lives in this earth time. You are my soul and this you are.
So they must have merged into each other. This is Where Will You Be?
Two souls intertwined, that's what we are. We walk hand in hand over life. Be the one, everything to me. You, I am dreaming. We have lived and known before. I feel it. When will I know when you are gone? Where will I be and will I miss you? We are this love in this life. Two souls intertwined like once before. See this meeting hand in hand, every life be the one, everything to me. You are my feeling. No need to fear this love of life. We are the truth of every earth life. No need to fear this life at all.
This is a bit interesting, isn't it?
We are the sun and everlasting
One of the qualities, I'm going to call it a quality, of digital recording is the sound is very bright. Brittle almost. And I do miss the warmth of an analogue recording. But, you know, this is kind of where music went for a long time, this sort of this sound. That's cool.
Where will you be hearing the song?
It's almost got an African feel to it. Better just check. Right, better pause quick before we move on to the next song. There we go. That is part 2 of Talk by Yes. So I don't know where State of Play ended and Walls began, but it happened. I wasn't aware of it happening, so I apologise about that. I would have told you. We're now on to the next track, but it happened somewhere without me noticing. And finished off with "Where Will You Be?" It had a real. I do like this record a lot. I know I've been sort of saying that it's a very different. Much more. It's not modern now. It's a very sort of vintage sound. It's strange to say that, isn't it? It's a digital and 80s being a vintage sound, but it kind of is, because we're 30 years beyond this now, nearly, and it's crazy to think that this was apparently. I'm taking your at your word about this. This is one of the very first, if not the first, full digital recordings ever made. And I did notice it yesterday. I didn't really sort of talk about it, but I will just sort of touch on it a bit today. It sounds digital, and I know you know digital sound. It just sounds so bright. It really shiny and bright and pristine, and there are low deep notes in there, but there's a different quality to them, and I don't really know how to describe it other than it's not cold, but it's not warm like analog is, and that's a fuzzy way to describe it. How do you say something is warm? We all know what it means, though. It's really difficult to put into words. This is pristine and bright and shiny, and there is no air. That's what it is. I think there's no air in the mix. So there's no life in the mix. I don't even think that's right, because there is obviously life in it. It just feels different, and it's not a negative thing. It's just a different thing. And I really, really like the fact that Yes can continue and have been able to evolve and grow their sound and try different things. And I think bands really should be saluted for doing that. If not, you're AC/DC forever, and all you ever do is churn out the same stuff forever. And that's fair enough, because the audience knows what they like and they like what they know. But I think if you're a progressive band by any description, you have got to progress. You've got to change. You've got to move forward. You've got to explore, embrace new technologies when they come around, look at new techniques, try different styles, and that's what they're doing. So you can't knock them for that. If you don't like it, that's a different thing altogether. But it's not. You can't knock the band for being progressive and progressing and changing and growing and wanting to explore and move with the times. Now, I think they move too slowly, because I think the sound that they are using here is from the decade before. And as I said, I suspect that's possibly one of the reasons, apart from obviously the record company itself not supporting it and and collapsing sort of shortly after this was released. It's probably why the world kind of gave a sort of collective shrug. It's kind of, yeah, whatever. It's you know, in the UK, it was a very the musical landscape was very much made up of this new exciting sound from Manchester and from Britpop that was young and energetic, probably a little bit like what punk did in the 70s, but it's a more positive kind of sound, I guess. Very short, succinct, radio-friendly music, the likes of Blur and Oasis. Clever writing on a lot of them, but that's where the music buying gaze was in the UK, and I think obviously grunge had been around, and I think that started to tail off by now. That was sort of being kicked out. Grunge was boring. Nobody wanted that now. That came along in the end of the 80s, very early 90s. What I don't know. So I don't know why I just paused there. I was sort of trying to collect my thoughts. I didn't realise there's not enough of them to collect. It's the one thought. So there we go. I really am enjoying this immensely, but I'm enjoying it for what it is rather than trying to remember what it was. And I think that's, if you can do that, you can find gold in them there hills. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to the next section, because this is the one that everybody keeps saying is what is the redeeming part of this record. Well, I don't think this record's let itself down yet, so I'm quite excited. Endless Dream. It's a 15, nearly 16-minute epic. We've also got a bonus track on the end, which is The Calling, a special version, which is the very first song we listened to yesterday. So I'm guessing it's a reworking of that, and that's another 8-minute track. So that will be on the end of Endless Dream. But that's for the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys on the next video, whenever and whatever that is. And until then, this is Jim over and